Chapter 1. Missing my wife, who was away on a business trip, I gave her a video call. In the video, she was wearing a sexy lace nightgown, leaning alluringly on a chair. But in the bottom corner of the screen, I could see the hem of her nightgown trembling nonstop. The seductive look on her face and the soft moans escaping her red lips told me everything. I ended the call. A moment later, her young assistant sent me a video. In the video, behind the gauze curtains of a large waterbed, two bodies were tangled together, locked in a passionate kiss. A man's underwear and a woman's lingerie were intertwined on the floor, tossed aside carelessly. Next to them were two used condoms. My wife called me back 2 hours later. Her face was flushed, and her sexy collarbone was dotted with the telltale red marks of passion. "Hubby, I miss you so much." Before, hearing Victoria Vance's sweet, syrupy voice would have had me booking a flight immediately, rushing to her side no matter how tired I was. But now, the image of the condoms on the floor from that other video made my stomach churn. A sharp pain pierced my heart. Was it anger or the sorrow of betrayal? A storm of emotions brewed within me. My mind was a chaotic mess. I couldn't believe that the wife who had just recently sworn to love me for a lifetime would be in bed with another man. Perhaps because I wasn't responding, Victoria grew impatient. "Honey, are you even listening to me?" I snapped back to reality. "It's so late. Is Ethan Miller still in your room?" A clear panic flashed across Victoria's face. The screen went black. She must have placed her phone face down on the table. After a while, the screen lit up again. The camera was now aimed at Ethan, who was pretending to look over some documents. Ethan waved at me. "Mr. Clark, I'm just helping Miss Vance organize the materials for tomorrow's competition." I saw the hint of provocation in Ethan's eyes. I also saw, at the very bottom of the frame, his legs, clad only in a pair of briefs. A dense, prickling pain bloomed in my heart. The pain spread through my entire body with terrifying speed. I clutched my chest tightly. Victoria saw it and cried out, "Hubby, what's wrong? Is it your heart? I'll call an ambulance for you right now." Just as she said that, Ethan suddenly fell from the sofa onto the floor. Victoria, who was about to call an ambulance for me, dropped her phone. As fate would have it, the camera landed facing Ethan's direction. I watched, frozen, as my wife, who had been feigning concern for me just a second ago, now held her young assistant tenderly in her arms. Ethan pouted as he hugged her. Victoria leaned in naturally and kissed his lips, her long legs wrapping around his waist. Ethan's large hands slipped inside her nightgown, kneading her wantonly. In that moment, she completely forgot about her husband on the other end of the line, who was having heart trouble and could have died at any moment. My wife's lips were soon swollen from her assistant's kisses. She leaned against him, panting. It took her a long while to remember the video call was still connected. I watched her take several deep breaths, composing herself, before finally picking up the phone 5 minutes later. On the screen, her expression was back to normal, sweetly smiling, elegant and pure. "Hubby, are you feeling better now? Ethan just fell. You know he's my assistant, and I can't have anything happen to him, so having just taken my heart medication, I raised a hand and cut her off." "It's getting late," I said flatly. "Get some rest." With that, I hung up. I stood up. My eyes fell on the huge wedding portrait of Victoria and me. We didn't have much money when we got married, but I had still given her the princess wedding of her dreams. To give her a better life, I started working endless overtime. A year after our wedding, I paid off all our debts. 2 years later, I bought the large apartment we now lived in. Standing before the floor-to-ceiling windows, I lit a cigarette. I took a long, hard drag. A bitter sourness filled my heart. Our marriage had once been peaceful and warm. But ever since Victoria hired Ethan Miller as her assistant, cracks had begun to appear. Using the excuse that she needed help with her dance choreography, she spent most of her time with him. The image of them wrapped around each other just moments ago sent my heart plunging into an abyss. The thought that the hotel room they were in was paid for with my credit card made me want to vomit. I immediately made a call. I need a list of all transactions on the supplementary card linked to my account. Chapter 2. The bank statement was sent to my phone almost instantly. Seeing the list of expenses was like being struck by lightning. A man's suit jacket worth $500, a belt and shoes worth over $1,000, and even men's shirts and various styles of specially tailored men's underwear. And all of it was in Ethan's size. So, while I was out there working myself to the bone, suffering several heart attacks from exhaustion and nearly dying to earn a living, all my money was being lavished on Ethan Miller. I staggered back and collapsed onto the sofa. The last charge on the list was for a dozen different little toys for added pleasure. I laughed. The marriage I thought I had was already riddled with holes. I called the bank's customer service. Please cancel all supplementary cards under my name. Victoria returned home with Ethan 3 days later. The moment they walked through the door, they fell into each other's arms. "Victoria, you smell so good," Ethan murmured. "I can't wait. Let's do it right here on the sofa." Victoria placed her hands lightly on his chest. "You little thing," she purred. "Are you trying to drain me dry?" They were laughing and talking, and it took them a while to notice me sitting on the sofa, calmly sipping my coffee. Victoria's face paled. She instinctively pushed Ethan away. "H. hubby, why aren't you at the office today?" I slowly set down my coffee cup. Victoria ran over, grabbing my arm coquettishly. "Just now." I almost tripped, and Ethan was just helping me up. "Don't get the wrong idea. I've been so tired from practicing for the dance competition. My legs feel a bit weak." I raised an eyebrow. "Are you sure your legs are weak from too much dance practice, and not from too much time in bed?" Victoria's face flushed with anger. "Sincere Clark, what are you trying to say? Aren't you tired of being so suspicious all the time? Do you think that just because I married you, you're only allowed to have one man in your life? Let me tell you, I married you. I didn't sell myself to you. If you keep this up, you'll be the one to destroy our relationship." Ethan walked over. "Mr. Clark, you've really misunderstood me and Victoria. I'm her personal assistant. It's my job to be by her side and take care of her." As Ethan spoke, he rolled up his sleeves. I saw the charm bracelet on his wrist. I had gotten that for Victoria. She used to get injured often while dancing, and I felt so bad for her that I went to a famous artisan to have it made. For that bracelet, I had driven 15 hours straight, without a single break, just to arrive at the designated time. To show my sincerity, I had waited for hours. The moment I received the bracelet, all my fatigue and pain seemed to vanish. I clearly remember how she threw herself into my arms, moved, when I put the bracelet on her wrist. She had whispered in my ear, promising that no matter what happened, she would never take it off. Following my gaze, Victoria also saw the bracelet on Ethan's wrist. Her eyes flickered. "Hubby, don't misunderstand. It's because Ethan has been falling a lot recently, so I just lent it to him for a couple of days." With that, she quickly took the bracelet off his wrist. Ethan pouted, looking displeased. "Victoria, the little bell on this was our secret. You even said that me wearing it would make you more excited." His voice wasn't loud, but I heard every single word. Victoria's expression shifted. "Take your luggage to my room, and then you can leave." Chapter 3. Victoria took off her jacket. She was wearing a man's shirt underneath. It carried the faint scent of cologne, but it wasn't mine. "My shirt is comfortable, isn't it, Victoria?" "And it has my scent on it," Ethan said, looking at her with a smile that was dripping with possessiveness. Victoria gave him a seductive smile back. "Of course, it smells amazing." Their blatant flirting, right in front of me, almost made me throw up. Victoria took my hand. "Hubby, don't get the wrong idea. I didn't pack enough clothes for this trip, so I just borrowed one of Ethan's shirts." I remained silent, my lips pressed into a thin line. Victoria threw herself into my arms, pulling my hand and placing it on her stomach. "Hubby, I'm pregnant. I'm 2 months along. You're going to be a father." Becoming a father had always been my dream, but Victoria was afraid that pregnancy would ruin her figure and her dancing career. So the first time she got pregnant, she had an abortion behind my back. To prevent any more accidents, I always made sure to use protection. Hubby, are you stunned with joy? Don't worry, I'll definitely carry the baby to term this time. I'm sure our baby will be the cutest, most beautiful baby in the world. I pulled my hand away and pushed her onto the adjacent sofa. Victoria's face twisted in anger. Sincere Clark, are you trying to shirk responsibility? I'm telling you, I am having this baby. You transfer me $10,000. I need to buy some supplements. My Adam's apple bobbed. Weren't you afraid pregnancy would ruin your figure and your dancing career? What made you suddenly change your mind? Besides, I always use protection. Are you sure you're pregnant? Ethan pulled a pregnancy report from his pocket and placed it in front of me. It's true, Mr. Clark. I went with Victoria to her checkup. Looking at the report that said she was 8 weeks pregnant, I smiled faintly. All right then, let's have the baby. Victoria and Ethan's eyes met for a fleeting moment before they quickly looked away. Hubby, I knew you loved me the most. Hurry up and transfer the money. Ethan and I are going shopping in a bit. I spread my hands. There's no money. No money? It wasn't just Victoria who was shocked. Ethan was too. Mr. Clark, you make a 6-figure salary and you have savings. How could you have no money? You can't be serious. I smirked. All my savings were spent on a certain toy boy. From his designer clothes to his custom underwear, everything was bought with my money. Victoria's face turned pale. She yelled at me, Sincere Clark, what do you mean? Are you still accusing me and Ethan? I calmly put down the throw pillow. I stood up. I walked over to them. I've quit my job so there's no more salary. As for the money you spent on another man, I will get back every single cent. My gaze fell on Ethan. You should probably start thinking about how you're going to pay me back, because if you don't, I'll file for a court order to seize your assets. Then you won't be able to jet off with your dear Victoria under the guise of a competition to enjoy the lavish waterbed suites we booked. Victoria, flushed with shame and anger, grabbed a pillow from the sofa and hurled it at me. You're trying to ruin my reputation, Sincere Clark. I will not forgive you for this. Ethan held her back. Chapter 4. Victoria, you have to think about the baby. It's true you've been neglecting Mr. Clark lately. This is probably just his way of getting your attention. Calm down. I'll take you out to get some fresh air. Victoria shot me a hateful glare. This time, let's just see how long you can keep this drama up. Victoria and Ethan turned and left. Just before the door closed, I saw their hands tightly clasped together. The next time I received a call from Victoria was a week later. I had just finished drafting the divorce agreement, so I answered. Hello, is this Victoria Vance's husband? This is City General Hospital. She's in a rather critical condition. We need a family member to come to the hospital as soon as possible. After hanging up, I went to the hospital. When Victoria saw me, she bit her lip pitifully and pointed an angry finger at the doctor. Hubby, you're finally here. They want to get rid of our baby. I saw the blood between Victoria's legs. The doctor looked exasperated. Don't you young people have any self-control? You knew she was pregnant, yet you were still so rough. Don't you know you're not supposed to have intercourse during the early stages of pregnancy? I immediately understood everything. Victoria's voice was thick with tears. Hubby, don't worry about that right now. The baby can't be aborted. I shrugged. Doctor, you heard her. My wife doesn't want to abort the child. So, please try to save the pregnancy. The doctor sighed. He had no choice but to agree to try and stabilize the pregnancy. Victoria was moved to a ward, and a nurse gave her an injection to prevent a miscarriage. She had always been afraid of pain, but this time, for the sake of the baby in her womb, she endured it. Seeing her cry from the pain, my heart was as still as water. I remember the last time she had an abortion behind my back. Back then, whenever she was in a bad mood, she would call me an animal for getting her pregnant. I was afraid she would suffer from complications, so I endured her scolding without a word and took even more meticulous care of her. I cooked her nutritious porridge to help her recover, but she threw it on me in disgust. Thinking back on all this, I sneered inwardly. Sincere Clark, I'm thirsty. I want some water. Just then, Ethan walked into the room. He immediately poured Victoria a glass of water and, ignoring my presence, affectionately helped her drink. A smile appeared on Victoria's pale face. "Sincere Clark, I really don't know how you manage to be a husband. You're not even as caring or attentive as Ethan." I smiled faintly. "If the assistant is so good at taking care of you, then let him take care of you," Victoria pouted. "Fine, then you'll have to pay him a $10,000 care fee." I pulled out the divorce agreement I had prepared. I tossed it onto the hospital bed. "Sign it. Let's get a divorce." Seeing the divorce papers, Victoria broke down completely. "Sincere Clark, you bastard, I'm here trying to save our baby, and you want to divorce me? You can go to hell." Faced with Victoria's curses, I took a step back. "I'm letting the baby's father stay here and take care of you. What are you not satisfied with?" Victoria looked guilty. "You don't talk nonsense. Ethan and I are innocent. The baby is yours," I snorted. I threw the explicit photos that Ethan had sent me onto her. "Victoria Vance, you are so dirty." Chapter 5. Seeing those photos, Victoria completely fell apart. She pushed Ethan away and grabbed my hand. "Hubby, let me explain these." I shook her hand off. I pulled out a tissue and wiped the spot she had touched with disgust. "I'll pack up your things and have them sent to your toy boy's place." With that, I turned and walked towards the door. Victoria screamed after me, "Sincere Clark, you promised to love me for a lifetime. If you leave me, you'll be breaking your vow and you'll face retribution." I laughed and slowly turned around. "Marrying you was the greatest retribution of my life." I strode away. Back home, I immediately packed up all of Victoria's belongings. She had accumulated so much over the years of our marriage, it filled 5 large boxes. I had the boxes couriered to Ethan's address. On the floor lay our wedding portrait, which I had just taken down. Looking at the photo of myself, beaming with a happiness that looked like I had gained the whole world, my heart ached as if it were being sliced by a knife. Victoria showed up 3 days later. She looked at me with tear-filled eyes. "Do you have to be so cruel? Ethan's place only has 1 bed and no living room. How am I supposed to live there?" Looking at Victoria's pitiful expression, my heart was as calm as a still lake. "Since you chose him, you can share his hardships. After all, according to you, I'm a clueless waste who can't compare to him in any way." Victoria's expression shifted multiple times. I was just talking nonsense. "In my heart, you're the most important one." Just as she finished speaking, Ethan rushed over. He pulled Victoria into his arms. "Victoria, that's not what you said to me in bed. You said he was a clueless waste who doesn't even know what foreplay is, that he couldn't even use those little toys. You said I was the only man in the world who could satisfy you. I was thankful I hadn't eaten breakfast, or I would have definitely thrown up. If you two want to put on a show, just sign the divorce papers and get it over with." Realizing I wouldn't change my mind, Victoria wiped the tears from her face. "Sincere Clark, I admit I've neglected you lately because of Ethan, but using divorce to get my attention is just foolish. I can forgive you this time, but if there's a next time, I will never forgive you." Looking at the still delusional Victoria, I took out a new copy of the divorce agreement and signed my name in front of her. "I don't need your forgiveness." Seeing me sign, Victoria was stunned. Ethan glanced at the signed agreement. "Sign it, Victoria. You'll get half of his assets anyway." I laughed. I flipped open the agreement. I pointed to the clause stating she would leave with nothing. "Read it carefully." Victoria ripped the agreement in half. "I've been married to you for years and you want me to leave with nothing? In your dreams, Sincere Clark. If you want a divorce, fine, but you have to give me $50,000. Looking at the greedy Victoria, I snorted. "Then I'll see you in court." Chapter 6. I filed for divorce. Victoria refused to go to court. It wasn't until 3 months later, when she could no longer hide her pregnancy, that she and Ethan finally appeared. Ethan's hand rested on her swollen belly, a triumphant look on his face. "Sincere Clark, you've lost completely. The woman is mine, and the baby is mine." I glanced at him nonchalantly. "Congratulations." My calm demeanor made Ethan's provocation fall flat. He shot me a frustrated glare. The divorce went smoothly. The provocative videos and explicit photos Ethan had sent me ensured that I walked out with a divorce certificate an hour later. Victoria, who was forced to leave with nothing, stared at me viciously. "Sincere Clark, you will not have a good end." I smiled. I turned to my lawyer beside me and said, "Draft another lawsuit. I want to recover all the money she spent on other men during our marriage." Victoria's face turned pale. "Sincere Clark, are you trying to drive me to my death?" I shrugged. "My money is for raising my wife and child. He's not my son. Of course, if he were to call me dad, I might consider dropping the lawsuit." Ethan's face turned shades of purple and green. "Victoria, let's go." I stopped them as they were about to get into the car. "The car is mine." Victoria yelled at me, "You bought this car for me." I nodded. "You said it yourself. I used to buy things for you. We're divorced now. And let me remind you, you are the one who cheated and is leaving with nothing." Victoria jutted out her pregnant belly. "I'm not giving you the keys. What are you going to do, hit a pregnant woman?" Looking at Victoria acting like a shrew, I simply made a phone call. "Bring a few guys over." A short while later, a few of my friends arrived. They were carrying bats and crowbars. "Smash it." They ignored Victoria's screams and proceeded to demolish the car. Victoria was so angry she collapsed onto the ground. I got into my friend's car and drove away without a backward glance. Victoria showed up at my door the next morning. She still had that high and mighty princess air about her. Seeing me, she frowned. "That suit you're wearing is so unfashionable, it's hideous. Take it off. And that tie doesn't suit you either." Watching Victoria critique my attire, I laughed. "Miss Vance, what gives you the right?" The address Miss Vance made Victoria realize our current relationship, her face filled with scorn. "Sincere Clark, you loved me for so many years. I don't believe you have no feelings for me now." Ethan was right. This is just your way of getting my attention. I admit it, you won this time. We'll go remarry tomorrow. I promise I won't neglect you for Ethan anymore. I let out a cold laugh. "Miss Vance, if you're so idle, you should go get yourself checked out. After all, your little toy boy is so creative in bed. Who knows where he picked up that experience, perhaps from other women." Victoria's face paled. "Impossible," she blurted out. "Ethan is clean. He told me he's never been with another woman besides me. I was his first and only one." I pursed my lips. "Then you two can be locked together forever." Seeing that I was about to leave, Victoria instinctively reached for me. I took a sharp step back, looking at her with disgust.
"I have a thing about cleanliness."
Victoria's expression twisted. You really don't want me anymore?" I nodded. "I don't like recycling garbage." Chapter 7. Victoria stared at me in shock. "No, that's impossible. You said we'd grow old together. All those years of feelings can't just disappear. Sincere, you're joking with me, right?" Victoria's crying was pitiful. "You're only divorcing me because of Ethan Miller. So, I'll break up with him right now. I promise he'll never appear in our lives again. Before she could finish, her phone rang. The name my willing little baby flashed on the screen. She looked embarrassed. "Answer it," I said. Victoria hastily answered the call. Ethan's voice came through the phone. "Victoria, when are you coming back? I'm not feeling well. Can you take me to the hospital?" Victoria looked at me torn. I could see the anxiety in her eyes. "Go on." Victoria hesitated for a moment. "Hubby, wait for me. I'll take him to the hospital and be right back. I love you. I only see him as my assistant." After saying this, Victoria rushed towards the elevator. As soon as I got back to my apartment, I sent an email to HR, applying for a transfer to the headquarters. Working at the headquarters had always been my dream. The broader opportunities there would allow me to achieve so much more. I'd had the chance before, but back then, I was blinded by love and worried that Victoria wouldn't be able to manage on her own, so I turned it down. Thankfully, opportunities eventually come to those who are prepared. Headquarters had extended the invitation to me again. This time, I had no reservations. The day after I sent the email, I received a reply from HQ. After a discussion with the HR manager, I decided to start my new position in 1 month. I went to the office and completed my resignation procedures. I handed over all my work. As I was leaving with my personal belongings, I saw Victoria standing at the company entrance. She was wearing the wedding dress from our marriage. Complete with a veil, she looked just as she did on our wedding day, except for her swollen belly. Her eyes lit up when she saw me. She lifted her skirt and came towards me. "Hubby, let's start over. I've already made things clear with Ethan. I told him he's not allowed to see me anymore." Victoria looked at me with a sweet, coquettish smile. For a moment I felt like I was back at our wedding. Back then, she was pure and beautiful, like a rose waiting for me to pick, and I felt like the happiest man in the world. "Hubby, we can go back to how things were, right?" I glanced at her belly. Victoria made a swearing gesture. "I've already scheduled an appointment with the doctor. I'll have an abortion tomorrow. From now on, I'll only have your children." I smiled coldly. "Miss Vance, please remember, you and I will never have a future together." With that, I walked right past her. Victoria tried to grab me, but I didn't give her the chance and walked straight to my car. Behind me, I could hear Victoria's desperate cries. I thought she would give up, but to my surprise, she came again the next day. This time, however, she was squatting at my door. She kept ringing the doorbell incessantly. My neighbor, an elderly woman, couldn't rest and called me. I was out with friends and had to cut my gathering short to go home. Seeing me, Victoria stood up from the ground. She held up a thermos like a trophy. "Hubby, I made your favorite seafood porridge. I put in a lot of fresh seafood. I know you'll love it." Victoria opened the thermos. The rich aroma of seafood instantly filled the air. "Just have one bite, please. If you like it, I'll make it for you again tomorrow." I took the thermos, and just as Victoria's face lit up with the belief that I had changed my mind, I threw the porridge into the nearby trash can. The smile on Victoria's face froze instantly. The one who likes seafood porridge was never me. "It's your little toy boy, Ethan Miller. I'm allergic to seafood." The light in Victoria's eyes instantly dimmed. Her body swayed. I forgot. "But I can cook other things for you. I'll bring them over tomorrow morning." I smiled faintly. "Victoria, even a stray dog wouldn't eat what you cook. Stop wasting food. Just looking at the porridge you made makes me sick." With every word I spoke, Victoria's face grew paler. She knew better than anyone that these were the exact words she had once said to me, and I was now returning them to her, word for word. She looked at me pitifully. "Sincere, I'll come back to you. We can start over. Can you not make Ethan pay back the money? He's just a lowly assistant. He has no money to give you. I was the one who bought him all those things." Seeing her still pleading for Ethan, I found it almost laughable. "Since you're the one who spent the money, you can be the one to pay it back." Victoria was stunned. Chapter 8. Victoria refused to leave. I paid her no mind and went back inside. That night, I slept soundly, a deep and peaceful sleep. When I went for my run the next morning, I saw Victoria, who had been waiting downstairs all night. She followed behind me as I ran. Seeing her frequently clutching her belly, panting for breath, I couldn't help but shake my head. I genuinely want to change. I really want to start over with you." Just as she finished speaking, Ethan arrived. He opened the small briefcase he was carrying on the spot. Inside were thick stacks of cash. He pointed at me arrogantly. "Sincere Clark, I've paid you back. Now stop harassing my woman." His shouting attracted the attention of the people around us. Murmurs spread through the crowd. I calmly picked up one of the stacks of cash. Under Ethan's nervous gaze, I pulled out the first few bills. Seeing that the rest were prop money, I laughed. "Mr. Miller, is this how you plan to pay me back?" With a flick of my wrist, I tossed the prop money right in his face. Faced with the ridicule of the onlookers, Victoria was mortified. She slapped Ethan hard across the face, twice. "You disgraceful dog, get lost. I never want to see you again." Stunned by the slaps, Ethan stared at her in disbelief. "Victoria, you hit me? Don't you forget, the baby in your belly is mine. You were the one who dragged me into your bed. Have you forgotten how you crawled on the floor like a dog in that sexy nightgown to please me?" The crowd listened with great interest. Victoria's face was as white as a sheet. "Hubby, don't listen to his nonsense. My eyes remained void of any emotion. You're treating me like a joke, aren't you?" I nodded directly. "It's quite amusing." The last glimmer of hope Victoria had was instantly extinguished. She began hitting Ethan like a madwoman. Ethan, dazed at first, quickly reacted. With a forceful shove, he pushed Victoria to the ground. Her stomach hit the ground hard. Bright red blood stained her white dress. The crowd gasped. Ethan was scared. I didn't mean to. I have to go." She stared wide-eyed at Ethan's retreating back. It took her a long moment to look away. Her eyes, full of pleading, turned to me. Help me." My stomach, it hurt so much. I still called for an ambulance. Victoria was rushed to the hospital. Her life was saved, but she lost the baby. When she woke up, I was standing by her bedside. Seeing me, tears streamed from the corners of her eyes. You still care about me, right? Otherwise, you wouldn't have called an ambulance for me." I smiled. It wasn't concern. I just wanted to see what kind of fate befalls a woman who betrays her family. Now I've seen it. Take care of yourself. I turned to leave. Thought as I reached the door, I heard something fall to the floor behind me. I turned around instinctively. I saw Victoria, who had fallen on the floor. Don't leave me. If you go, I'll die." I said flatly, "What does your life or death have to do with me?" Victoria's heart trembled. Tears rained down her face. Without a moment's hesitation, I walked out of the hospital room. Chapter 9. The next time I heard news of Victoria was an hour before my flight to the head office. I was sitting in the VIP lounge with a friend, enjoying a rich coffee. Victoria's situation is really tragic now. I raised an eyebrow. The baby's gone, and because she didn't get proper care, her health is ruined. That toy boy, once he realized he couldn't squeeze any more money out of her, never visited her in the hospital. Victoria went to find him a few times and was thrown out. Twice, his parents even gave her a severe beating. Hearing all this, my heart was completely calm. I had no interest in the affairs of a stranger. It was 3 years later when I returned to Bay City. By then, I had firmly established myself at the head office. Earning a 7-figure salary, I brought my girlfriend home to pay respects to my ancestors. After visiting the family graves, I took my girlfriend to the largest shopping mall in the city center. My sweetie, Sophie, had lived abroad her whole life and was fascinated by everything here. "I want candied fruit skewers," Sophie said, pointing ahead and shaking my arm playfully. I pinched her cheek affectionately. "All right, I'll get them for you." Sophie hugged me happily. After buying her the treat, I idly looked around. My eyes fell on a woman nearby, digging through a trash can and stuffing whatever she found into her mouth. Sophie couldn't bear to watch. She took a cake she had just bought and walked over to the woman. "The things in the trash are too dirty. You'll get sick if you eat them. Here, have this instead." The woman saw the cake and snatched it away greedily. She began stuffing it into her mouth desperately. She ate too much, too fast, and started to choke. "Sincere, quick, give her some water," the woman looked up. She pushed aside the matted, dirty hair stuck to her face. As she moved, a foul stench wafted over. I pulled Sophie back a few steps. The woman's eyes filled with tears. "Sincere, it's me. I'm Victoria. Victoria." I stared at the woman in shock. Her face was smeared with food from the trash can. Her clothes were ragged and torn. At her feet lay a crude wooden crutch. I saw her right leg, which was bent at a starkly unnatural angle. It was Ethan who did this. He drinks all the time, and whenever I don't beg for enough money, he beats me. I'm a cripple now. Victoria staggered towards us. Sophie wanted to help her, but I saw the blister like sores covering her exposed arms. A jolt of alarm went through me. I quickly pulled Sophie to the side. Victoria missed her step and fell to the ground. She struggled to lift her head. Give me some money, please. I want to get treatment. Ethan gave me a disease, a dirty one. I pulled out a few $100 bills and threw them in front of her. Victoria picked up the money and was about to stuff it into her clothes when a figure rushed over. He snatched the money from her hand. You bitch not bad today. You managed to get this much. Now I can go find some pretty girls. I looked closely and recognized the man who snatched the money as Ethan Miller. Give me back the money. Ethan viciously slapped Victoria across the face. You stinking whore, you're just my money-making tool now. You'd better beg for another 1,000 today, or I'll make your night a living hell. Victoria saw the pity in my eyes. She suddenly grabbed the wooden crutch from the ground. She swung it violently at Ethan. The crutch struck the back of Ethan's head. Blood splattered. Ethan collapsed. He pointed weakly at Victoria. You bitch, you dare to hit me? I'll send you to hell right now. Ethan, like a madman, pinned Victoria to the ground. His fists rained down on her body again and again. I was busy comforting a terrified Sophie. By the time Sophie had calmed down, I looked back at Victoria and Ethan. Ethan had already collapsed. Victoria was beaten black and blue. She crawled over to me. If there's a next life, can we start over, please? My expression was calm. No. Victoria spat out a mouthful of blood. A few minutes later, an ambulance arrived. Victoria and Ethan were carried away on stretchers. I left, holding my shaken girlfriend in my arms. The next day, I saw the news about Victoria and Ethan. Ethan had stopped breathing on the way to the hospital. Although Victoria's life was saved, she now faced charges of manslaughter. It was all finally over, and I was beginning a new life.